I'll go to John Giorgio then.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, John. And okay, so good afternoon. This is the open meeting of the Finance Committee. Is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. This order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. This meeting will not feature public comments. For this meeting, Finance Committee is convening via video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may watch. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We'll now turn to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, let me cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude, I will invite the members by show of hands to provide any comments if they have any comments. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. And always please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. And then last, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call. So with that, may I get a approval of today's agenda?
All right. I'll move.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Peter Schaefer,
Aye.
Chris Klowacki,
Aye.
Joe Grouse,
Aye.
Joanna Roche,
Aye.
George Harrington,
Aye.
Denise Cronow, aye. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Now we have the public comment, but we don't have public comment on this meeting. So moving along to the adoption of minutes for meetings. So Ali was able to send us 2 of the minutes for the 4th and the 2nd. Has everyone had a chance to, if you've had a chance to read the minutes, just do a thumbs up so I know. And then we'll 2 out of 4. So, okay, so we'll hold off approving those to our next meeting. Okay, thank you. All right, so at this point, I will be turning over the review and adoption of final revised articles for ATM 2020 to the town's finance director, Brian Turbot. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So the first article numerically, the first article is Article 6, which we had asked to hold until today so that we could ensure we got as many of the potential budget transfers as possible. As you'll recall, the original article stopped at town administration operating, transfer from and into town administration salaries. We've actually eliminated that potential transfer, and we've proposed additional transfers from DPW salaries, finance salaries, IT plus salaries. Now, the reason that we're able to transfer some of these additional salary monies is due to the timing from when positions were hired or unfilled. There's available funding that we can utilize to transfer to other areas. So we're proposing transferring $100,000 from the unallocated salaries in DPW to their operating budget. We're proposing taking $140,000 in their salary line item and transferring it to town admin salaries. Finance salaries, we're proposing to transfer $75,000 into operating. From the finance salaries, we're proposing to close a small gap in the natural resources salary line item. We're also proposing taking some of the salaries in finance and transferring it into town admin as well. The largest item on this list is, as everybody's aware, we're in the middle of a pandemic and COVID-19. We're proposing taking $600,000 of free cash and transferring it into what we've called, and we set up based on DOR guidelines, is the COVID-19 emergency fund. Now this will prevent us from deficit spending and then having to raise those, then amortize that deficit either over a 1 or a 3-year period. This is in advance of getting any FEMA reimbursements. There is additional CARES Act money that will supplement this money, but we've proposed doing this so that we avoid having to raise this over any other period of time in future years, given the fact that we do have adequate free cash reserves to cover this and prevent having a deficit in that emergency fund. We propose transferring $50,000 from plus salaries into the harbor master line item. And then again, we've proposed $75,000 in the finance department going into human services to cover a small change in deficit in that line, a projected deficit at year end. I will tell you that all of these transfers are based on a salary analysis that we do after every single payroll. If it ends up that something is different at the end of that analysis, that money would just go back to free cash as it would if it had stayed in the department that it was in.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions or comments from FinCom? No?
Cheryl.
Thank you, Chris.
These are all transfers within 2021?
2020.
Okay, so that's all this year stuff.
It's all fiscal year 20. Yes.
Okay, thanks. And then what gets charged against the COVID emergency fund? What is that actually going to pay for?
We can charge IT related infrastructure improvements. The Zoom account we can charge against there. We can charge salaries that were related to the EOC, and I'm working with the emergency management director we will ultimately be transferring some salaries and other line items out of the general fund, but we're going through it on a very meticulous basis. We're helping the school a little bit with some of their needs as well. PPE can be charged through there and things of that nature.
So that we're allocating salaries that would have been otherwise paid in their day job that moved over to EOC, is that?
They're eligible for FEMA reimbursement for operation of the Emergency Operations Center.
Okay, thanks.
And Brian, basically, from what, February through the end of the fiscal year, we've actually expended $600,000?
We've probably expended or could recover potentially probably $300,000 in salaries at least. And we have significant ongoing expenses in terms of IT upgrades and infrastructure upgrades to manage through in terms of additional laptops that we've had to buy. The Zoom subscriptions are extremely expensive that we've had to purchase, and that in aggregate is across the entire spectrum. It's not just the general fund. So it can be the sewer department increased expenses for COVID, all can go into this fund.
Great, thank you.
So.
Are there any further questions? Can I get a motion to approve the article as stated by Brian and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
By roll call, Peter Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Grouse,
Aye.
Chris Klawacki,
Aye.
Joanna Roche,
Aye.
George Harrington,
Aye.
Denise Cronow, aye. Thank you. Brian, back to you.
Thank you. So Article 8, I know that at the last meeting, the meeting that we had done the original revisions to, we had already revised Article 8. Recently, the select board had asked that we create and fund an additional position. So we have made the technical amendment to account for that. We've put the estimated or salary number into the human resources budget. So that's going from 325 to 193 to 445, 193. And the subsequent changes to the right column of total budget is increased by 120,000 for that. And the bottom lines are also changed on those numbers. How did we accomplish this? We accomplished it. There was a position and a half that were inadvertently supposed to have taken out of Public Works when we were going back through, and then we noticed that they hadn't been. So we have removed those and reallocated the funding. So there's a small change to that budget. We've also added the insurance into the medical insurance line as well. So all told, the budget actually, based on moving the changes, is only up $30,000 over the original reapproved budget of $90,599,509. So we have been able to find the additional money without having to go into free cash for this. So the raise and appropriate proposed is $90,092,560, with the same amount still coming out of free cash of $5,536,949.
Thank you. FinCom members, any questions or comments for Brian? And
For this one, Madam Chair, I think you need to have a motion to amend the original one that they made, right, John?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, Joe, you unmuted first. Would you like to make the motion? This is like a little video game.
I move that, I move that we amend our motion on Article 8 to reflect the various technical changes that Brian has implemented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Joanna seconds. Thank you. By roll call, Peter Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Grouse,
Aye.
Chris Glowacki. Chris, you have to unmute, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Joanna Roche,
Aye.
George Harrington,
Aye.
Denise Cronow, aye. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just flipping back to the notes, that's why. What was the position? I missed that somewhere. What was the position that was added?
It's a diversity coordinator, correct, Libby?
That's why I haven't caught up on my meetings. Thank you.
So before you was Article 16, and this was another one that we had originally voted at the first meeting to deal with any technical changes to the articles. And the airport approached us yesterday, and they had a article in the capital for costs associated with groundwater soil investigation. It was $250,000 from certified retained earnings. It needs to increase to $500,000. So they need to take another $250,000 from retained earnings to cover that increase. So that is reflected in the original article as a strike through and the new amount highlighted. And then the additional 250 carries through all of the mathematical columns throughout it. Just to let you know, they have a licensed site professional that is helping monitor the testing. They have on-call engineering to help design any of the systems that need to be installed as a result of any of the tests. And those systems are actually rather expensive. So this will cover all of any anticipated additional costs relative to that program.
Brian, what is the airport's retained earnings? What are their total retained earnings?
You would ask me, I had it looked it up. It was over $3 million. I know that.
Okay,
So they're not expending all of it or drawing it down substantially with this.
okay, that was actually my question. Thank you. Other questions from FinCom? I see shaking of heads, no. Okay. Chris, any other questions from you? Okay, thank you. Libby?
I'm sorry, Brian and I did not really have a chance to go over this before your meeting, but Brian, in the document that you've sent here, Article 16, why is everything stricken for the airport? Am I looking at the right thing?
I think I might have, no, I did a red line version. Hold on. I might have not. Hold on.
Because between you and I, we also need to reconcile the revised motion document and
Yep.
make sure that the technical amendments that you're talking about right now are coming from this, not the original warrant.
So Article 8 came from the revised, and Article 16 came from the revised motions that were on the website.
Okay, but Article 16 doesn't have any strikeouts in it for airport.
I know. Hold on one second. Let me send it to you.
Error?
Well, and also the number that Brian just mentioned about the airport isn't highlighted in yellow either, is it?
No, it
Wouldn't that
isn't.
also be,
Yeah. It needs to show what it was and what it is now. So
Here.
I just want to make sure the only change to the revised motion for 16 in the technical amendment is that groundwater item for the airport.
It is
Okay, and it's going from 250 to what?
500,
Okay,
and you have it right now.
you just emailed it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think I might have sent the original strike through the way we were doing it by mistake to you.
okay, so for the FENCOM's voting purposes, the only technical amendment is that groundwater item, which we will
Right.
correct in the editing form visualization
Correct.
method to show that.
Any other questions or comments from FinCom? So is this the same, Brian? Is it a motion to amend or it's a motion to, or
Yeah,
John?
there would be a motion, you'd amend it because you're changing the airport total by 250,000 and you're changing the bottom line total by 250,000.
Okay. May I get the motion, please?
Make a motion to amend the Article 16 as stated by Brian Turbot.
Thank you, Peter. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, by roll call, Peter Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Grouse,
Aye.
Chris Glowacki,
Aye.
you, Joanna Roche,
Aye.
George Harrington,
Aye.
Pronoun aye. Thank you. Okay, Brian, Article 17.
So Article 17, there are 3 strikeouts from the airport that the airport doesn't need the money, and the airport commission on the $300,000 articles decided not to pursue that at this point in time. So, and then at the bottom, we have added transferring from our island home salaries into the operations. Again, they have unfilled positions and changes throughout the year in the salary line item, so that we're proposing moving that to fund the contractual and traveling nurses. And then general fund free cash, there was a very small amount to close out the sewer force main that was not eligible and was not recouped for SRF and was not recouped by insurance. We're proposing transferring that from free cash. And then sewer retained earnings, we're proposing transferring in 600,000 to the sewer department enterprise fund because they are going to be okay in whole, but their revenue is not running as close to budget as we had expected. And according to the way DOR does things, we would have to close some of that, and their turnbacks from expenses will not be able to cover that. And the reason that it isn't is because while they have had a substantial amount of people from the Nantucket Harbor Shimo Plus parcel sewer connection project come in and take out permits, they don't have enough people on the island to actually install all of those sewer connections as fast as the permits are being pulled. So there's been a delay in those new connections coming online and actually supporting and paying the user charges.
Questions from FinCom?
Nope.
See a lot of no head shakings. Okay, so, oops, in which case, may I get a motion, please? Again, as amended, I'm sure.
Yes, this was originally adopted without the changes in it for the original town meeting.
Right.
Motion to adopt as amended.
Thank you, Chris. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. By roll call, Peter Schaefer,
Aye.
Joe Grouse,
Aye.
Chris Glowacki,
Aye.
Joanna Roche,
Aye.
George Harrington,
Aye.
Denise Cronow, aye. Thank you, Brian. Okay, so that gets us through the articles that we needed to do. Now, we have a pre-ATM with the moderator today at 2:00. But prior to that, I would like to take a roll call of the people who are currently on this meeting as to whether you'll be physically attending the ATM or not, so we can plan seating with Nancy. So Peter Schaefer.
Yes,
You,
I will attend.
Joe?
I plan to attend, yes.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, great. Okay, Chris Glowacki?
Denise, I haven't been able to get back into my email since I asked you a question the other day, so maybe you answered me about whether you have a preference, whether the chair has a preference, because I could go either way. I'm happy to attend. I'm also happy to be one less body in the room as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, as of right now, what I'd like to be able to get is a quorum, right? Just in case.
Well,
I
I'm
know.
certainly available. I'm certainly
Okay.
available as a quorum, and I have no problem with going, but if we're trying, I'm also happy to be one of the people that sets the example that we don't all need to be there.
Okay, thank you, Chris. That's what I answered you, is really, it was up to you. I just wanted to make sure we had a quorum. And so with myself and Stephen, we're up to 4. So we just need one more person that would want to go. Joanna
Let me know.
wants,
I'm happy. Yeah.
Joanna wants to go. So Chris, you can watch on TV and be dazzled.
I'll be watching you all very closely.
We'll be the ones in the masks. Chris. George, are you attending?
Yes, I am attending.
Okay. Good, because then I can give Nancy feedback as to how many FinCom members are going to physically be there, so we can plan seating in the front. I've asked Nancy, she and I exchanged an email the other day where I asked if the FinCom and obviously the planning board could sit in the front 2 rows, because we have to, the moderator asks us from time to time to make a motion and second it. So, and Nancy felt that that could be accommodated. Well, I guess we'll find out tomorrow at the physical practice, right, Libby?
Right.
Perfect. I like that. Okay. So with that,
Denise,
yes, go ahead, Joe.
quick question. In terms of Thursday, what time do we all have to be there? I thought I saw an invitation on the Outlook email, the town email, that is it 3 o'clock or is it 4:30 that we need to be there?
4:30
4:30.
on Thursday. The dress
On
rehearsal
Thursday.
is 3.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
Yeah. So I will go to the dress rehearsal tomorrow at 3 o'clock, the in-person dress rehearsal, and then I will email all of you if there's any information, additional information you need prior to Thursday. Otherwise, we will all see each other on Thursday at 4:30 at the high school. So with that, is there any other business from anyone on the committee? No? Thank you. Okay, in which case, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn?
A
Second.
Thank you. Oh, and thanks to Brian and Ally and Libby for the preparation for today. Apologies, I should have done that earlier in this meeting. Peter Schaefer, roll call.
Aye.
Joe Grouse,
Aye.
Chris Kalaki.
Aye.
Joanna Roche,
Aye.
George Harrington,
Aye.
Denise Cronow. Thank you, everyone, and see you at 2 o'clock.
Hello. Bye.
Thank you.